So, after 121 sonnets, after exploring one of the most intense and, let's be honest, complicated relationships in all of literature, the poet's love for the fair youth, we've finally reached the end of that story. We're about to dive into the last 5 poems of this famous sequence, and together, they form this incredibly complex, philosophical, and ultimately heartbreaking farewell. Everything, and I mean everything, leads to this one single chilling line. A final bill is coming due. An audit is being called. And a payment? Well, it has to be made. You see, this isn't just an ending, it's a reckoning. And that feeling hangs over every single word of this final goodbye. Now, you have to understand, these last 5 poems aren't just thrown together randomly. No, they're a carefully constructed argument. It's like a multi-stage process of letting go. Shakespeare is literally building a case, not just for why the relationship is ending, but for the very nature of his love itself. So how does this grand farewell begin? Well, you might expect tears, right? Sadness? Nope. It starts with defiance. In these first 2 sonnets, the poet turns inward. He starts building a defense of his love against, of all things, the failures of the physical world and even history itself. Sonnet 122 kicks things off with a little bit of drama. It seems the poet has given away a notebook that the youth gave him as a gift, and now he has to explain himself. And his defense is incredible. He basically says, I don't need a physical object to remember you. The real record of you is already permanently inscribed right here in my mind. Okay, so this term tables, it's key. You could think of them as kind of the iPads of the Elizabethan era. They were these little wax tablets people used for taking notes. The poet's argument is, I gave them away because to keep a physical reminder would suggest that my own memory, my own heart could actually fail. It's such a bold, almost backward way of proving how strong his love is. And this argument just gets bigger and bigger in the next poem. Sonnet 123 takes that internal defense and just explodes it outward. He goes from defending his personal memory against one little object to defying all of recorded history against his own personal truth. He looks at time itself and says, thy pyramids are nothing novel. Now, he's not just talking about the ones in Egypt. He means any great monument, any wonder of the world that time tries to use to make us feel small and temporary. The poet just shrugs them off, calling them dressings of a former sight. Basically, old ideas in new clothes. The point is, he's vowing that his love is constant, even when time is trying to trick him. It's this powerful idea that a genuine, personal feeling can stand up to the grand, impersonal sweep of all of history. Okay, so he's made his love independent from objects and from history. Where does he go next? He moves to the external world, the world of politics, of social status. He's going to start defining his love by everything it is not. In Sonnet 124, he argues that if his love was just a child of state, if it was born from trying to get ahead or for political advantage, it would be a really fragile thing. He calls it a bastard of fortune, something that could be abandoned at any moment. But no, he insists his love was builded far from accident. And he uses this absolutely incredible phrase to make his point, policy that heretic. Policy here means worldly cunning, scheming for a short-term gain. And he calls it a heretic because it has no real faith, no constancy. His love, on the other hand, is hugely politic, for the very reason that it refuses to play those cynical political games. It's just such a brilliant, ironic twist. This whole idea continues right into Sonnet 125. Here, he rejects all the public performances of love. Things like carrying a canopy in a royal parade, he dismisses it all as just for show. He says he'd rather offer his oblation, poor but free, a pure private gift from the heart. It's just about me for thee. But then, bam, the poem takes this sudden, really sharp turn. It ends with him lashing out at a suborned informer, a paid liar, a spy. This jolt of paranoia just reminds us that there are real-world problems bubbling right under the surface of these beautiful philosophical arguments. It seems like someone, somewhere, is actively trying to poison their relationship. It's a stark reminder that even a profound love is vulnerable to the messy, malicious realities of the world. And after all that defiance of memory, of time, of politics, of spies, the tone just completely shifts. We finally arrive at the last poem, and all the arguments just fall away. They're replaced by this quiet, absolutely devastating resignation. So after 125 sonnets addressed to the fair youth, the poetic form itself just breaks. The last poem in this group isn't even a sonnet. The very structure that held this whole relationship together for so long is about to be abandoned. Yeah, instead of the usual 14 lines, we get 12. Instead of the complex rhyme scheme, we just get 6 simple rhyming couplets. Now, this form actually has a name. It's called an envoy. It's a short, concluding stanza that's literally used to say, this work is finished. So this isn't just another poem, it's a formal, structural goodbye. The poem speaks directly to the youth. It admits that, yeah, he seems to have beaten time. He gets more beautiful while everyone else gets old. But the poet says he hasn't really won. He's just been protected by a much higher power, Mother Nature. He is her minion, her favorite, her darling, but also her property. And this brings us right back to where we started. Nature might have delayed the inevitable, but her audit must be answered. The debt has to be paid. And her quietus, her final settlement, is to render thee, to give you up. To really feel the weight of this, you have to understand the word quietus. It's an old accounting term. It means a bill has been paid in full. An account is settled. It's the exact same word Hamlet uses when he thinks about ending his own life. It means the end. The final payment nature will collect from her beautiful favorite is, quite simply, his life. But Shakespeare has one last haunting move to make. Remember, the poem is only 12 lines long. So what happens, or rather, what doesn't happen after that final line, is maybe the most powerful statement of all. In the original 1609 publication, the poem ends just like this, with that final, terrible line, followed by 2 empty parentheses, where the last couplet of a sonnet ought to be. It's a silence printed on the page, an empty space where words should be. It's a deliberate, haunting void. And that's where he leaves us, in that silence. So what does it mean? Is it the quiet of final acceptance? Is it the shock of grief that leaves you literally speechless? Or maybe it's a space that finally admits that after all the defiance, after all the beautiful words, the final word belongs to mortality, and it just can't be written. It's a question that just echoes and echoes, long after the poems have gone silent.